Imagine your heart stopping. Your breathing ceases. Your blood stops flowing. Ice crystals form in your veins, spreading through your body like frozen fingers. Your eyes glaze over. Your muscles lock solid. You are, by every medical definition, dead. And then, you wake up. Not in a hospital. Not through some miracle of modern medicine. You just wake up. Because it's spring. And that's what you do. This isn't science fiction. This isn't a near-death experience. This is what happens to the wood frog, a small, brown amphibian living in the forests of North America, every single winter. It dies. And then, months later, it chooses to live again. This is the story of the only vertebrate on Earth that has mastered the art of freezing solid and surviving. And what scientists have learned from this humble frog might one day save human lives. The wood frog lives in places most creatures wouldn't dare. Alaska. Northern Canada. The Arctic Circle. Places where winter doesn't just arrive, it consumes. Temperatures plummet to -20, -30 degrees Celsius. The ground freezes solid for months. Most frogs migrate south. Some burrow deep underground below the frost line. Others hibernate in pond bottoms where water stays liquid. The wood frog does none of these things. It simply stops. On the forest floor. Under a pile of leaves. Sometimes just barely covered by snow. For centuries, people noticed these frogs would disappear in winter and reappear in spring. But no one understood how. They assumed the frogs were hibernating, sleeping deeply but still alive, heart still beating slowly, maintaining just enough metabolism to survive. Then, in the 1980s, researchers at the University of Alaska Fairbanks decided to actually monitor wood frogs through winter. They attached sensors. Measured heart rates. Tracked body temperature. Watched what happened when the first hard freeze arrived. What they witnessed should have been impossible. The frogs didn't just slow down. They didn't just enter deep sleep. They stopped completely. Heart rate, 0. Breathing, 0. Brain activity, undetectable. Body temperature, below freezing. Ice forming in tissues. The frogs were frozen solid. Clinically dead by every measurable standard. And yet, when researchers brought frozen specimens into warm labs, they thawed. And lived. Science had discovered something that rewrote the rules of what vertebrate life could endure. Let me walk you through what happens to a wood frog in winter. And I need you to really feel this. It's late October in Alaska. The first hard freeze is coming. Temperatures will drop below -5 degrees Celsius tonight. The wood frog, about 3 inches long, brown and mottled, weighing maybe 8 grams, settles into the leaf litter. It doesn't dig. It doesn't burrow. It just waits. As temperature drops, ice begins to form on its skin. The frog feels this. In these first moments, it's still conscious, still aware. Its body immediately responds by flooding its bloodstream and organs with glucose, blood sugar, at concentrations that would kill most animals. A human with blood sugar that high would go into diabetic shock. The wood frog's glucose levels spike to 100 times normal. This isn't a malfunction. It's the plan. Within hours, ice crystals begin forming. But here's what's crucial, they form in the spaces between cells, not inside them. The glucose acts like antifreeze in the cells themselves, preventing ice from crystallizing and rupturing cell membranes. The frog's heart continues beating as ice spreads through its body. Slower. Slower. The blood becomes syrupy, thick with glucose and ice. And then, it stops. The heart freezes mid-beat. The lungs hold a half-breath that will last for months. Up to 70% of the water in the frog's body is now solid ice. If you picked up this frog, it would be hard. Stiff. You could hear it clink against a rock. Its eyes are frozen opaque. Its skin is rigid. By every measure we have, this animal is dead. But it's not. Deep inside, in the cells protected by that glucose shield, the fundamental machinery of life remains intact. DNA undamaged. Proteins preserved. Cellular structures waiting. The wood frog doesn't hibernate. It doesn't sleep. It simply pauses. So how is this possible? The answer is one of the most elegant survival strategies evolution has ever produced. Let's start with why freezing kills most creatures, including us. When water freezes, it expands. Ice crystals are sharp and jagged at the molecular level. If ice forms inside your cells, those crystals puncture cell membranes like microscopic knives. Your cells rupture. When you thaw, you don't come back. You're just damaged tissue. This is why frostbite causes permanent injury. Why cryogenic freezing of humans doesn't work with current technology. The ice destroys too much. The wood frog solves this with a two-part strategy. Part 1, controlled ice formation. The frog doesn't prevent freezing, it manages it. Special proteins in its blood act as nucleation sites, controlling exactly where ice crystals form. Ice is deliberately formed in the bladder, the body cavity, and between cells, places where it won't cause immediate fatal damage. Meanwhile, the frog floods its cells with glucose and urea, yes, urine components, which lower the freezing point inside cells and stabilize proteins. The cells themselves stay liquid even as ice forms all around them. Part 2, protecting vital structures. The frog's organs, heart, brain, liver, undergo a kind of metabolic shutdown, but not random death. Specific genes activate that protect cellular machinery. It's like putting a computer into a protected sleep mode versus just yanking the power cord. The frog's mitochondria, the powerhouses of cells, are preserved in a state that allows them to restart. Its neurons don't fire, but they don't degrade either. And here's what's truly remarkable, this entire process happens in just a few hours. The frog doesn't have weeks to prepare. When the freeze comes, its body executes this incredibly complex shutdown sequence almost immediately. Then it waits. 4 months. Frozen. Waiting for spring. In March or April, when temperatures finally rise, something miraculous happens. The ice begins to melt. First on the surface, then deeper in the tissues. The frog's heart, frozen solid for months, begins to thaw. Liquid blood starts flowing again. At first just a trickle. Then the heart twitches. Once. Twice. And then it beats. Oxygen spreads through tissues. The brain comes online. Within hours, the frog's eyes clear. Its muscles regain function. And then, impossibly, beautifully, it hops away. The first wood frogs of spring are often seen hopping across snow, seeking pools of meltwater to breathe in. As if nothing happened. As if they hadn't just spent 4 months dead. Now, you might be asking, what does this mean for humans? A lot, potentially. Medical researchers are fascinated by wood frogs because of something called ischemia, damage caused when blood flow is cut off to organs. This happens during heart attacks, strokes, and organ transplants. When a human organ is removed for transplant, doctors have a narrow window, usually just hours, before the organ degrades without blood flow. Every minute without oxygen causes irreversible damage. But the wood frog's organs survive months without blood flow and come back perfectly functional. If we could understand and replicate even a fraction of the wood frog's protective mechanisms, the way it stabilizes proteins, preserves cell membranes, and prevents ice damage, we could revolutionize transplant medicine. Imagine if donor organs could be preserved not for hours, but for weeks. Imagine if stroke victims could be rapidly cooled to prevent brain damage, their neurons protected by frog-inspired compounds. We're not there yet. But researchers are working on synthetic cryoprotectants based on wood frog biology. Every winter, these small ground frogs are teaching us new ways to preserve life. But there's something else this creature teaches us. Something beyond medicine. In the frozen forests of Alaska, something profound happens every winter. Millions of wood frogs, small, unremarkable, easily overlooked, make a choice that seems like madness. They don't flee the cold. They don't fight it. They don't hide from it. They surrender to it completely. They let the ice come. They let their heart stop. They release their grip on consciousness and trust that when warmth returns, so will life. Think about that level of faith. Not religious faith, but biological faith. A faith earned through millions of years of evolution, through countless generations of frogs that froze and thawed, until the mechanism was perfected. The wood frog doesn't fear winter. It doesn't mourn the loss of its heartbeat or panic as ice spreads through its veins. It simply accepts that some things cannot be fought. Some seasons cannot be avoided. And sometimes, survival doesn't mean staying warm. Sometimes it means becoming cold. Becoming still. Letting go. We humans spend enormous energy resisting difficult seasons. Fighting change. Trying to maintain constant warmth, constant activity, constant consciousness. But what if the wood frog is showing us something we've forgotten? That there's power in surrender. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop. Let the ice come. Trust that you're built to survive it. That endings don't have to be permanent. Every spring, across the northern forests, wood frogs wake up. Not because they're special. Not because they're magical. But because they've learned something most creatures never do, that you can stop completely and still come back. That you can freeze solid and still thaw. That you can die, in a sense, and still live again. The wood frog won't live forever like the immortal jellyfish. It won't defy physics like the leafhopper. But it has mastered something perhaps more profound, the art of letting go completely and trusting in renewal. And every spring, as they emerge from beneath melting snow and hop toward breeding pools, they carry a message for anyone willing to listen. That no winter lasts forever. That even when your heart stops, even when ice fills your veins, even when everything goes dark and cold and still, spring will come. And you will wake. If this story gave you chills, literally, you're experiencing exactly what these frogs live through every year. Nature is full of survival strategies that seem impossible until you see the science behind them. We're uncovering the most mind-blowing adaptations on Earth. Real creatures. Real science. Stories that will change how you see survival, resilience, and the hidden genius of evolution. Hit subscribe if you want more. Because we're just getting started. Next time, we're going somewhere even more extreme. And what you'll discover will redefine what you thought life could endure.